It's kind of hard to believe that a game against Holy Cross would be must win. But on today's show, Mitch and I are going to discuss that BC's got to get their act together and figure this out, and they got to do it quick.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On BC. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor and publisher of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Sports Network. On today's show, it's prediction time. We're going to talk about Holy Cross and BC, what could be the tightest FCS game BC has played since, last year. We'll talk all about that, give our predictions. And to do that, we're going to have Mitch Wolf with us. Mitch, how's it going?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about this game, but less excited the fact that it looks like it's going to be closer than we anticipated.
Yep. And so let's kick this off. So today's show, we're going to do our BC wins if, Holy Cross wins if, our predictions, and our picks of the week. So let's kick this off. Let's start off with what Holy Cross will do. How will Holy Cross win this game, Mitch? What will they do?
So I think that them winning revolves around their quarterback, Matthew Sluka, who is a third-year starter. He's 6'3", 215, and he is a very, very, very dynamic rushing threat. Probably the best running quarterback BC's faced since Malik Cunningham. He is used in their design run game a lot, but he's especially dangerous when he scrambles. I believe when I looked at the stats, he averages about 7.7 yards on designed rushes, but averages 10.7 on scrambles. And I believe he has lacrosse background. And when you watch him run, you can kind of see how that translates because he's very good at keeping his balance. He is able to run through contact and kind of just bounces off people. So he's very dynamic. He led all FCS quarterbacks in rushing last year and was 29th in FCS among all players in yards per game, which is incredible considering that sacks are counted towards rushing yards in college. So that's the big thing. In their passing game, they're pretty much gonna try to hit some deep play action shots. Their wide receiver Jalen Coker is their big deep threat. He had a very big game against Merrimack last week. So that's the guy that Sluka is going to try to hit deep. And basically, when they run those deep routes, essentially clear out the defense. And then if nothing's there, usually Sluka will read two receivers and then he'll go. So that's kind of their offense. They have a very diverse running game in terms of using different types of schemes. Obviously, adding Sluka as part of the designed run is huge for their offense. So from a BC perspective, the run defense, I think you could kind of make an argument both ways as to whether it was good or not last week. 2 drives, they were bad. I thought the rest of the game, they were pretty decent. But the difference is that Holy Cross has this very dynamic rushing quarterback, and they're also going to, instead of what NIU did, which was kind of load up on heavy personnel and use power runs, Holy Cross is going to more spread out the defense and try to kind of isolate one-on-one matchups, mostly out of the running game. And then they're very patient. They will keep running the ball and not take risks with deep throws. But once they feel like they have you, they're going to try to really kill you over the top.
So, yeah, I also want to add in. So you did more of the perspective of what Holy Cross ought to do. I'll also say that they're going to win if BC plays like they did last week.
Yeah, definitely.
If they make the mistakes, Holy Cross is too good. And this is crazy that we're talking about an FCS team, but Holy Cross is good. They're too good if you give them multiple first downs, getting out of punting situations, backing your own self up, dropping passes. They'll beat you if you do that. So I think that's another big piece from the BC's perspective that they can control that they're going to have to clean up.
Yeah, BC's got to play a very clean game. And I think that the defense needs to create a little more havoc, I would say. They need to find ways to get some splash plays on defense, whether that be tackles for loss, sacks, or turnovers. Luckily, I think Sluka, because he's a bit of a big game hunter, so he is gonna try to hit deep shots. He's gonna take some risky throws, and he has a bit of a penchant for fumbling against better opponents when he is stuck in the pocket. He'll try to bounce around, and sometimes the ball just bounces out. So BC is going to need to get a little lucky there in terms of getting some turnover luck. And like you said, you got to clean up the mental mistakes from last week. For BC on off, Holy Cross's defense, they are definitely more focused on stopping the pass. So I'm interested to see if they make a noticeable adjustment to put more players in the box to stop the run, assuming BC is going to run the ball more, because frankly, they absolutely should, especially against a Holy Cross defense that is not the best against the run. They have a very undersized defensive line. Although this year they do get back linebacker Jacob Dobbs, who missed most of last year from injury, and he is a tackling machine. He's a very good FCS player. So for BC on offense, I really think running the ball is the key. I think I kind of assume they're going to start Thomas Castellanos and he'll play the majority of the game. And I think that they need to really lean on his legs to be able to create explosive plays, get him on the edge, and then once BC has established the run, then kind of like what Holy Cross wants to do, they can start hitting some deep play action shots over the top.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Castellanos too. I'm going to say that on my show that's coming up. And for those folks that haven't put it on Twitter yet, I did talk to Tom Devitt. I have the interview. It just needs to be caught up. It's going to be the Friday episode. I want to get Mitch and I had the opportunity to get this out as the Thursday episode, so it'll be in your feed tonight. I talked to Tom Devitt for about 15 minutes for the podcast, so you're going to check that out. Now, Mitch, you kind of already leaned into a little bit about it, but what else does BC have to do to win this game?
Like I said, clean up the mental mistakes. You gotta just not have those drops. And again, with the mental mistakes, from my perspective, it's hard to say, what you do to prevent those. It's just players have to be more focused, players have to be more disciplined, coaches have to be diligent about, hey, making sure guys know their assignments, they know the playbook, so you don't see those mental mistakes. In terms of what they're going to do on defense, I would say to stop Holy Cross, I think you'll see them deploy a pretty similar game plan to how they went after Malik Cunningham last year, where they're not going to blitz a lot. They're going to slow down the rush. So it's called a muddle rush, I believe, or kind of something similar to that, where you don't want to really penetrate the pocket. You just want to slowly collapse it so the quarterback can't escape through holes in the pocket. And that's kind of the same idea by not blitzing much. Is when you blitz, you give the quarterback easy answers and he can get out away from the blitz and create with his legs. And that's something that Sluka's really good at. So they don't want him doing that. So I think you're going to see BC drop 7, drop 8 a lot into coverage and try to confuse Sluka that way. Ideally get turnovers via interceptions. And then if BC's offense can get rolling and, put some points on the board, build a bit of an early lead and really force Holy Cross to get away from the run game and make Sluka win with his arm, I think that that's the best way for them to win this game, because Sluka's a good passer, but he's not a great passer. And like I said, he's a bit too aggressive sometimes. And I think if you kind of put him in a position where he feels he has to put the team on his back, he might make more mistakes and would make big positive plays for the Crusaders. So that's kind of my game plan on defense for BC. And on offense, and I think Hafley said this, and I honestly think it's right. Like, the guys just need to execute, need to not have drops, not have penalties. Because when that happened, and aside from Castellanos' crazy scramble play, they found ways to move the ball, and especially when they lean more in the run game. So I think you could see this be a big game for Castellanos on the ground, and definitely Patrick Garwo on the ground, because we've seen his ability to tear up bad run defenses when he has a good offensive line. So I think that this could be a big game for him.
It won't be the same as AJ Dillon had when they played him in 2000.
No. I mentioned that in my weekly preview, which will come out, I believe, tomorrow, that this is much different than when BC played this team in 2018.
When literally no one on Holy Cross could tackle AJ Dillon.
No.
Okay. So we'll be back in just a moment to get into our picks for the game. Hear what Mitch and I have to say about this game and where we think this is going to go. All right, you don't have to choose between better hair growth and your health. Nutrafol provides a whole body health approach for men that promotes healthier hair. No drugs, no compromises, just better hair. And Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. I mean, if you check out some of the pictures of how well this works, I got a bottle and I'm ready to start using it because I'm starting to lose a little bit on the top. Can't wait to check it out. Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair health wellness quiz. Identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through your whole body wellness. So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and for free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men and enter the promo code LOCKEDON. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. And that's spelled Nutrafol.com/men. And enter promo code LOCKEDON. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code LOCKEDONCollege. All right. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black, and it's prediction time. I think folks are getting a little bit antsy in Chestnut Hill, and by a little, I think it's a lot. And it's time for Mitch and I to give our predictions. To kick this off, I'll go first. I have been hard on this team all week, harder on the coaching staff. I hope that Boston College sticks with one quarterback in this game, and I think it's going to be Thomas Castellanos. Hafley's comments this week that he could go to both is worrisome. The way that Holy Cross plays and the level, I mean, they were 12-1 last year. They've beaten FBS teams 2 years in a row, is worrisome. There's no spread in this game, so I have no idea what the spread is yet. I think there will be at some point. If Boston College can put 2 and 2 together and stop making, stop shooting themselves in the foot with an AK-47 over and over and over again, they should win this game. But I'm concerned that they won't. We watched this team slug it out with a bad Maine team last year, and this is a completely different team. But so is Holy Cross. I am not ready to pick the Crusaders to win this game, though. I think BC showed enough last week when they were getting things going that if they don't play stupid football, they can win. But I'm not going to pick them to win by much. I'm going to have BC winning this game something like 27-21. Mitch.
Yeah, I was just looking for the spread. I could not find one, which is pretty surprising given that you'll see like Georgia get spreads against UT Martin. And it's like -45, but no spread for this one. According to ESPN and analytics, they say BC has a 90.9% chance of winning. That's interesting. But it's kind of nice that we just get to pick who's going to win the game as opposed to picking against a spread. My score difference is not much. It's 27-20. Like you said, I think this is kind of a hopeful pick for us. We're hoping that we're kind of manifesting a win here. And part of that is because looking at the rest of the schedule, I'm not sure how many times we're going to have left this season to pick BC to win a game. So yeah, I'm picking 27-20. I think ideally with less mistakes on both sides of the ball, with some more consistency on offense, leaning more on the run game, I think BC wins this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout at any point. I think this one is going to go down to the wire pretty much, but I do think BC has enough to win this game because, and I mentioned this over the summer, but if you dig a little deeper into Holy Cross this season last year, they went 12-1, undefeated the regular season, and they lost to the eventual national champion, South Dakota State. But if you look at their schedule, they beat an FBS team, Buffalo, on a last-second Hail Mary touchdown. They went to double overtime with Fordham, who's a good FCS team. And then in their first round of the FCS playoffs, they played a home game against New Hampshire in an absolute monsoon where no team could really throw the ball at all. And they did win that game. And then the next week, they played South Dakota State and got doubled up 42-21. So I think Holy Cross got a little lucky sometimes last year. They're having to replace a lot on their defense, especially up the middle. So that I think is helpful for BC, but obviously, after what we saw from BC last week, it's hard to have a lot of faith in them. With that said, I'm still going to pick them to win 27-20.
And here's a question. We have a couple of minutes that I want to ask this one. What kind of score would you say, oh, okay, so maybe they are fixable and things could get back on track probably after the FSU game?
I think you gotta score more than 30 and you gotta hold Holy Cross under probably 20, maybe like 17 or lower. So you probably gotta double them up and score. And if you can kind of maintain a 2-score lead for the majority of the game, obviously not in the first half of the first quarter and maybe not in the last half of the last quarter when there's garbage time. If you can kind of maintain that 2-score lead for at least half the game, then I'm like, okay, there's some things going right. Week one, a lot of things went wrong, but they've gotten some things fixed in the week since. But I mean, we'll talk about it next week, but after what Florida State did in week 1, I am not very optimistic about their chances against that team.
And here's a question, and we had him on the show, and I'm just going to throw it out there. If Jeff Hafley loses this job, will he be coaching against FSU?
Loses this game, you mean?
Yeah, loses this game, excuse me, yes.
It is hard for me to say yes. Yeah, I would be very surprised, honestly. And I don't like saying that. I don't like commenting on people's jobs until something has actually changed. But starting 0-2 against these two teams with this schedule, and then going to face a team that is probably a top 5 team in the country and probably going to win the ACC, that's a really tough look.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. It's as I said, this is a must-win game for this program, and we will get back in a moment. We're gonna get away from BC for a bit, cleanse our souls, and get into some gambling. Where we're gonna get into our 4 picks of the week. I'm at a good solid 0-4. Mitch, I think went 2-2 last week, 3-2 if you consider the 2-3.
No, just 2-2.
2-2. So let's get into our picks in just a moment. Now, I love going to games. I love going to college football games, and minor league baseball has been like my jam this summer. And buying tickets to your favorite events should never be stressful. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to get your tickets. And there's no hidden tape. There's no hidden things around it. It's fast and easy. You get in there, you get killer deals, flash deals, and last minute tickets. I'm guessing you could probably go to BC for $1. It was that for last week. So, and you can find and see where you're going to sit and any of the games that you pick. Forget months of planning. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of event. And it's not just for sports. You can get concerts, comedy, theater, and more as well. And they have a guarantee for best price, which means they're going to credit you 100%, 10% of the difference if you find it cheaper somewhere else. So get the images of your seats, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off your first order. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest priced guaranteed. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. Thank you all for listening. And as I said, Tom Devitt, that interview will be dropping tonight with a new episode for tomorrow. This is our Thursday episode. And we moved our predictions up a little bit for you. So we as I said, I bottom out hard on my picks last week. I went 0-4. I mean, some of them were real bad. The Auburn UMass pick was terrible. Funny enough, though, on Eagle Insider, we have a ESPN bracket pool that you can join. Not bracket pool, pick'em pool. That's Vegas spreads, and I went 7-3 on that one. So, that's just kind of how the ball rolls. Let's start our picks of the week, and I did not make a graphic because timing is a little tough for me this afternoon. Mitch, what's your first pick of the week?
I'm going to keep with the theme, and I'm just going to keep I think I might just do it all season just to see how I want to see what it ends up at the end of the year. I'm going Iowa State under 36.5. Iowa is not going to score points. Iowa State, after having almost all their good players suspended for gambling on games. And I feel like this is kind of like it's the inverse of taking the over in Bedlam or like Washington State, Arizona, or Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. You just got to take the under in this game. There's going to be no points. I feel like this game will be over, and it will be over in 2 hours, if not for how many commercials are running now thanks to college football's rule changes. So under Iowa State 36.5.
All right, my first one, we're going to go with flashy picks. I can't get any flashier than Coach Prime. I'm going to pick Colorado -2.5. I know they're playing in Nebraska. Matt Rule, this is a huge game for him. And I still don't think they're going to cover that. I think we saw a lot out of Sanders, both the coach and quarterback. They've got a dynamic running back. That freshman is incredible. And of course, they're who's the two-way player? I'm totally blanking. Travis Hunter. I like Colorado at -2.5.
Yeah, they're home. This is their first home game of the season. Tickets are going for like $2,000 a pop.
Sorry, it's in Colorado. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, Nebraska, I think they have some players, and they were really close against Minnesota. But if Colorado essentially just needs to race out to a quick enough lead that Nebraska needs to throw to win. And I'm confident Colorado can do that as well. My
All right.
second pick is, and I'm going with 2 underdogs here. I'm going to be, I was trying to find some more fun ones. So I'm going to go with Cal plus 6.5 at home against Auburn. I have a very weird random antipathy towards Auburn, and I don't know why. And this was even before Hugh Freeze was there. And Cal had a surprisingly good game against North Texas last week. This game is in Cal Berkeley. I believe it's at 10:30 Eastern. So late kickoff for Auburn, normal time for Cal. I think that I'm not sure if Cal wins. They could. It wouldn't shock me. But given that they have almost a touchdown helping them out, I'm going to go Cal plus 6.5 at home against Auburn.
All right. And my next pick, I'm going to go. I wanted to warn myself away from stupid bloated spreads, but I'm going to go with one, and I'm going to go with an underdog too. And this is a big underdog, and it's Ball State in Georgia. I'm going to go with Ball State because they're minus 42. I think they only lost by 14 last year, if I remember. They lost by 11.
That was Kent State.
Oh, crap.
And that was Kent State, who lost their offensive coordinator to Colorado and their best receiver to Penn State.
All right, so never mind. I quickly
their best running back to Ball State. Actually, they lost their running back to Ball State. And
okay.
Ball State's running back went to UCLA. So,
all right. Cancel that pick. Cancel that pick. I was looking as you were talking. I like that pick. I don't like it anymore. I'm going to go with Tulane covering against Ole Miss. 7.5 point Ole Miss favorite. Tulane always plays, I think, really strong defense. I could potentially think of them at possibly winning this game straight out. So I think there's a decent chance there.
So I know you're going to have to scramble to pick a third pick, and normally this would be a good opportunity for me to buy time, but I also have Tulane plus 7.5.
Oh, darn.
So I like this game a lot too. It's in New Orleans. Ole Miss, even though they brought over Pete Golding from Alabama, they do not really play defense. They're going to score a lot, but Tulane can hold pace. Michael Pratt, their quarterback, is a very good player. So I agree with you. I think Tulane covers, and I think Tulane has a very good chance of winning this game outright.
All right, I got my third pick. I'm going to pick Oregon minus 6.5 over Texas Tech. Mm-hmm. Oregon, I know, didn't play a very good team last week, but they put up about 1 bajillion yards. And Texas Tech, as far as I remember, they are not a very good defense. Yeah, they're 113th in the country in defense right now. I think they're playing in Lubbock. That's a little bit more, but I like Bo Nix. I like what Oregon can do. I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
It's very weird to hear people, like how many people are saying, I believe in Bo Nix, especially, and this is also a Tyler Shuck, I think it's Shuck revenge game. But yeah, I mean, Texas Tech had a weird game up in Laramie, losing to Wyoming in, I want to say, double overtime. It might've been single. But, you kind of think they're going to come back and get things back on track. But I just think Oregon has too much talent, really on both sides of the ball for Texas Tech. So I like the pick as well. But that one's definitely closer. So yeah, I like most of your picks as well.
All right. And those ones were really pick quick. And so you got your 3 picks in, right?
Yeah, because my other one was Tulane, which we're aligned on.
Okay, so great. All right, we have to head out. I have to go pick my kids up. Thank you all so much. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Become a subscriber at Eagle Insider. Mitch has got some great work over there. Mitch, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mitchell T. Wolf, WOLFE on Twitter. I think I'll be tweeting this game from my personal account this week.
Yep, I got this one.
All right, cool. So you can follow me over there, and then obviously my preview work is on Eagle Insider, so you can check that out over there.
All right, thank you all so much, and we will see you after the game. Take care, everyone.